thought I would do a part 2 because the video was like 30 minutes long and I don't want people to lose interest, which I feel like people do if you do talk for a long time. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm just, trying to remain optimistic about finding an apprenticeship. And, I feel like even though I'm not really happy to work in retail again, it's like, what choice do I really have when I'm not getting an apprenticeship right now? So I did apply to work in Aldi, and I'm more than happy to work in a supermarket, like it's a job at the end of the day and it's money, but I don't want to do that for the rest of my life, and it's not enough to live on anyway, right? Yes, it's more money than being with the job centre, of course it is, like any job is, like any job is better than being with the job centre. But yeah, there's been moments I've been thinking, I can't believe this is my life, like I've been skint so many times and I've nearly run out of food and milk and toiletries and toilet roll, and it's been hard, guys, and it's been very hard. But yes, I haven't helped the situation by spending too much money every month, right? Like I do go crazy with my money, and I will admit that I'm not good with money. But at the end of the day, it's just not enough money to live on being with the job centre, right? And that's not a crime, me saying that, like, so to get into specifics, it's like, because I don't really mind like showing how much I get, it's not really like a big deal, but so 806.47 is how much I receive, and then minus my rent, which is 550, so that's just over 200. Like, how is that enough to live on, right? That's not. And yeah, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't get my hair done, I don't do my nails, like I don't buy designer clothes, but it's still not enough to live on, right? And yeah, I do think that you shouldn't be doing any of that when you're not working, because how are you gonna afford it, So yes, I do buy makeup, that's the only thing, but I literally buy BB cream, I don't buy foundation, I've never had expensive makeup brushes till now, and that costs a lot of money as well, right? Like that took up a chunk of my money, even though I needed new makeup brushes, so we're not all rich, right? We're not all in a good place financially, and that's where working hard is just essential to having a good life. And it's like, now I know that, because some people do think when you're not working that you're lazy, especially if you're with the job centre, and I've definitely had judgment, like from family about that. But at the end of the day, guys, this is my journey. This is my journey, and it's not for anyone to judge, like, it's really not. And I don't go out my way to judge people, especially, whether they have been successful or not. I don't have time, guys. I really don't, to judge other people, right? Like, I'm busy focusing on my life, and who I am and working on who I am, and, you know, trying to get an apprenticeship and trying to earn more money, right? Like, to get more money. And there's no shortcut, you know? Like, you have to work hard, and that's it. There's no other way, right, of having more money in life. It's to work. So, you know, I really do strive for my own independence and my own money. And even though, you know, I would love to meet someone and share my life with someone, and love is the most wonderful feeling, you know, it really is, I still gotta have my own money, you know? I need to. But I just wanna, like, mention that I've never relied on a man for money, you know? Never. And I don't even want a man to pay for me on the first date. That's the sort of person I am. So, you know, like I said, I strive for my own independence, and I think as women we should be, you know, and my purpose in life is not to be a housewife, you know, like, it's not. I don't want to be a housewife. I want to go to work and be successful and earn good money, right? And hopefully become a YouTuber one day. And, you know, if I end up in the public eye, then that's my destiny, right? Like, no one knows what their future is. Like, no one knows what's written for them. But I'm just saying that, you know, this also ties into, I don't want to, you know, find a rich man, basically. You know, that's never been my goal, guys. You know, it just doesn't appeal to me, right? It's like, it's really hard to find someone that's going to treat you right and to love you like you deserve to be loved. So I don't have time or the desire to try and find a man that's got money. That just doesn't make sense to me, and I just think it's stupid. So yeah, I thought I'd mention that, because I have mentioned before that, you know, I don't want a man with money, and like, I don't want a rich man, you know. And yeah, you never know who you're gonna meet, but, you know, if I happen to be earning good money myself, and, you know, I meet someone in the job, and, you know, we end up falling in love, and he's, you know, he's got a lot of money, then, you know, it's like, it's just hard to, like, really explain it, but because I don't know who I'm gonna, you know, fall in love with at the end of the day, right? Like, no one really knows. So I'm just saying how I feel, really, that women that are earning a lot of money and want to find a man that's also earning a lot of money is just really wrong. You know, I find it really bizarre. Even famous people as well. I do get this impression that, you know, certain singers in the public eye, obviously I don't want to mention names, even though it's my opinion, I feel like there's like two singers in the public eye that are just too codependent on a man, you know. Like, yes, I get we want to be with someone, but I feel like, you know, these two singers, they can't be single, you know. They really can't. And do you know what I mean? So, you know, and that's it really. It's just kind of like, you know, just because you've got fame and fortune, you still need to learn to be single, you know, and be okay with being single, you know, because jumping into a relationship constantly is just extremely unhealthy, and, you know, it just makes you look desperate and needy. And, you know, I do think that some people, especially in the public eye, they do like to show off, you know, when they found their person, right? Like, I know one singer in the public eye, she recently got married, and it became a whole thing on the internet, like, oh, wow, you know, like, you know, she's married now, and, you know, like, everyone was so happy online, and it's just kind of like, it's just really not a big deal though, you know, like, loads of people get married that are not famous, you know, it's a part of life, it's normal, it's not something we need to jump up and down about, you know, so, you know, I think that there is an issue with, you know, non-famous people becoming, they're very like parasocial about, you know, like singers in the public eye mainly, you know, like it's, my thing is like, we should all focus on our own life, you know, and, you know, just because a person in the public eye has found love, it's like, so what, you know, that's nothing to do with you, right? It's not. And you know, yeah, I'm the sort of person where yeah, I would say I'm only really happy for myself when it comes to finding love. I don't really give a toss about other people that I don't even know that have found love. And yeah, it's like, yeah, if someone's genuine and I have good conversations with them, and, you know, they're single and they've been single a long time and they find someone, then yeah, I'm happy for them. Like, you know, I would say the people I live with, you know, I'm happy for them, right? You know, when they've found someone, because, you know, not everyone I live with is single. Basically. But, yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't think anyone's actually in a relationship living here, including me. So, yeah. And, you know, when you've just met someone and, you know, you're still getting to know them, it's not obviously quite a relationship. So, I get that, you know, you meet different people until you meet the right person. And I think you know in your gut whether this person you've just met is, you know, the right person for you. So, I just feel like we shouldn't have to sacrifice anything for love, you know. You should be able to, you know, you should just be yourself, and that's it. And the right person will accept you for you and love you for you and won't try and change you. Because I feel like trying to change the person that you're with just is wrong, you know. That's always something that's my non-negotiable, that I will never be with a man that's trying to change me. And, you know, it's like, I am who I am. If you don't like it, then I'm not the person for you, you know. Like, I've gone through so much in my life. I've, you know, had so many battles and demons and, you know, obstacles that I've had to that I've overcome, especially mental health, right? I've gone through the worst in mental health, and I've been depressed, quite a few times in my life. And yeah, at times I've not wanted to be here, and that's okay to say and admit, but I'm still very, I've got God at the end of the day, and God is the person that I lean on, right? And I know He protects me, and I know He wants the best for me, and I know that, He knows that I'm a good person, and the only thing I need to work on is just being more patient, which I am, and controlling my temper, right? But like I said, I think on the back of that, the people that have made me angry are horrible people. They're evil people, do you know what I mean? So that's why it's so refreshing to, not be in that environment, basically. Because it's just not good for you guys, and I just think life is way too short to be going, to have conflict in your life constantly, it just gets to a point where you're like, this person's got to go, So I feel proud of myself that I've really, learnt to stand up for myself, and no one's really going to do it for you. And I will continue to do that because I've got to protect myself and my happiness and my peace, and I'm learning that I shouldn't care what people think of me, because naturally when you're a YouTuber and you're sharing your life and your thoughts and your opinions, people are going to judge you, right? But I need to let go of that because, I enjoy sharing my life and what's going on in my life. And, that's it. It's like, yeah, when you put your life out there on YouTube, not everyone's going to like you, but that's fine. That's not going to affect me, because another thing I want to mention is when you're a YouTuber, whatever content you do, no one really knows you personally, no one really knows you personally, and no one actually knows you properly, right? You have to really be in that person's life to know them properly. So I always keep that in mind when I'm filming, that, because at times I'm like, do people really understand me? Especially when I've been talking about just, hard times I've gone through. It's that's been a reoccurring thought. Do people understand me? Do they agree with me? Right? But it's when you put your life out there, you never really know what people think, So yeah, I'm learning not to be a people pleaser, because it just doesn't work. And at the end of the day, right, I love who I am, I really do. And I feel like everything I've gone through has strengthened me, it's made me grow, it's made me flourish. And we're all on our own journey, right? We've all got our own story, our own path, and I honour that, and I know that everything will come within time, especially love. I know I will find it, and I deserve it, right? Like, we all deserve love. But I'm just looking in the wrong places, and I feel like dating apps are just really superficial, and it's just the worst place to find love. So, you know, like I said before, I do think that I'll probably find someone when I'm working. I have a feeling, I have this really strong gut feeling it will happen in the workplace, which I know is not really a good idea, but that's what my gut's telling me, and my gut's never wrong. So we will see. I'll let you guys know. You know, I do think that, you know, sometimes the person that you're meant to be with is in your workplace, you know, and sometimes you got to take a risk, you know. So even though it's not really the best idea, because, you know, it can get quite messy, it could also work out. So it's just being like optimistic, really. Not everything's gonna fail. Sometimes things do work out, and sometimes you got to take a risk and try. You know, whatever that is in life, you got to try and listen to your gut. You know, that's really important, because, you know, only you know what's best for you, and only you know what your gut's telling you, right? So yeah, I think just to kind of summarize, I'm grateful that I've got friends in my life, like female friends that I can count on and that support me. I do want to meet my friend, or both my friends, but I do want to meet my other friend soon, but she has been on holiday, so obviously it's not been the right time to meet her. But I do feel like every time I see her, I just feel so uplifted, so happy, so at ease. You know, I feel like her advice is always right, you know, and I just feel like my other friend, she, you know, just always wants the best for me. She always wishes me well. You know, there's no negativity there or bad energy, you know. Because I do think that some people have got good energy, and some people have got bad energy, and I feel like the female friends I have really good energy, you know, and they just radiate positive energy. So obviously, you know, I don't want to be around judgmental or negative people, and yeah, I think that, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple weeks. You know, I feel like I'm just so relieved all the bad's behind me, all the hard times are behind me, you know. I feel like I'm on a good path now. I feel like I'm feeling good again, and I'm healing, you know. I feel like God's healed me and He's helped me move forward, and, you know, I've been going to church more, which is important, and, you know, just doing what I want, really, basically. So, you know, we should all have the freedom to live our life on our terms, not on other people's terms, you know. And sometimes it's like realising that we can't change the past, you know. You can only focus on the future and focus on where we're at now. And, you know, I feel like volunteering in this charity shop where I bought my table has made me feel, you know, happier. It's been really nice and lovely talking to the people working there, you know, and they've all got things going on in their life which, you know, comforts me. you know, especially since I've been going through stuff. So yeah, I'll be working there tomorrow, and I would like to work there really as much as I can until I find a job, because it gives me something to do, gives me a purpose, you know, and yeah, it's just really, it's such a nice environment. So obviously, you know, you don't get paid working in a charity shop. It's still something I felt like I needed to do again, you know, because I've only worked in a charity shop twice. So yeah, I felt like I was just really ready, and it was overdue to work in a charity shop again, basically, because I'm always in charity shops looking at the stuff, and I bought some really nice clothes there. I bought a trinket dish to put my keys in, bought a food container, I bought this table, and that's it really. So yeah, I would really recommend volunteering in a charity shop if you're not working, because it does really give you more of a purpose, and it, you know, does make you feel happier, just, you know, knowing you've got something to do every day, or, you know, whenever you're working there. So, and it's the social side of it as well, you know, like just having people, just talking to the people working there, and it's just such a nice, relaxing environment, you know. Like, I'm just really glad I've started volunteering again, and yeah, I just want to continue doing it till I find a job. So yeah, like I said, everything happens at the right time. You just have to trust that, you know, the right thing will come to you. With job, relationship, friendship, your home, you know, anything that isn't right for you will pass you by. So that's kind of the key point of this video. And, you know, I feel like human interaction is very important, and I've noticed that when I don't really talk to other people often, it like affects me, you know, and I do feel quite down when I'm not interacting with other people. So that's another thing I thought I would mention, really, that when you're interacting with people, you do feel better, you do feel happier. So yeah, that's kind of it, guys. I feel like I'm just excited to see what the future holds, really, and I feel very, like, just proud of who I am at the end of the day, and how far I've come. Especially these past couple months have been very turbulent, you know, for different reasons. So yeah, that's kind of it, really. I feel like that's everything I wanted to say. Just my advice is be around good people, be around people that uplift you and genuinely support you and understand you, right? And are not judgmental or negative, because that only, you know, rubs off onto you. So yeah, I just feel like life's too short to be around, you know, horrible, negative, judgmental people. You know, like, we all need supportive, genuine, you know, understanding people in our life. And if you don't have that, you should still stay clear of negative, judgmental, horrible people, because it's only going to drag you down and affect your mental health. So that's it, guys. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to end it there. If you did enjoy, hit that thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a video. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Till then, peace out. Love you all. Bye, guys.